Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second presentation of the day, which is on ICAO priorities and accomplishments in attaining gender diversity. This will be done by Ms. Chinga Mazetse, Regional Officer responsible for aviation, environmental protection, and aeronautical meteorology at ICAO Eastern and Southern Africa Office based here in Nairobi. After the presentation, we'll take a few questions from the floor. And a brief about our presenter. Mrs. Chinga is a regional officer at ICAO ESAF office with a background in environmental science and engineering. Ms. Chinga is responsible for aviation, environmental protection, and aeronautical meteorology. And she will take us through ICAO's priorities and accomplishment in attaining gender diversity. Chinga, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, and very good morning, good afternoon to you all, dear participants. And as introduced by the Madam Chair, my name is Chinga and I'm from the ESAF Regional Office. So this slide is just showing us an outline of what I'm going to be presenting on. So here we're going to discuss with you the priorities within ICAO in terms of gender equality. And then we'll also dwell a lot on the accomplishments that we have managed to accomplish, the things that we've managed to do between the setting of the SDG number 5 in 2015 up to today. Next slide, please. In this slide is just showing the role that aviation can play when it comes to gender equality. So when you look at aviation, it actually strengthens the economies of states, the economies of organizations. And because of this, there's a huge growth in terms of the socio-economic statuses of the different states and organizations. For example, if you look at the data that we have on the slide in 2018, from the international air transport sector, a number of 62.7 million people were supported in terms of employment. And then this contributed to $2.7 trillion in terms of the GDP, the gross domestic product. And when you look at the forecast that has been done based on this data in 2018, actually see that both air passenger traffic and air freight traffic expected to more than double by the year 2034, which is just a few years from now. So therefore, there is a pressing need to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of this sector at the national, international, and global levels. And this can be aided by the involvement and full engagement in the industry by women together with the men. Next slide, please. On the next slide, it's actually referencing the Sustainable Development Goal number 5 on gender equality. So since the previous presenter mentioned a lot about this, I'm not going to say much, but I would just like you to know, dear participants, that within ICAO, we also have quite a number of activities that we have in order to ensure that we play a role in achieving this, the different targets that have been set for SDG 5. And on the next slide, we'll show you after the setting of the 2015 SDGs, the next slide will introduce what has been happening in ICAO. And it starts from the ICAO General Assembly. Next slide, please. So the SDGs were set in 2015, and within the ICAO Secretariat, it didn't take us long to start putting in place measures. So in 2016, during the 39th Assembly of the ICAO Assembly, we had quite a number of things that were agreed upon. So the first one that I would like you to note is that the Assembly urged states, ICAO member states, the 193 member states, as well as the regional and international aviation organizations, and the international aviation industry at large, to demonstrate leadership and commitment within their organizations in a bid to advance women's rights. Another thing that was also agreed upon was that these states and organizations should take the necessary measures to strengthen gender equality. And from that assembly, during the 39th Assembly in 2016, we had Resolution A3930, which is entitled ICAO Gender Equality Program, promoting the participation of women in the global aviation sector. And As most of you may know, our assemblies and the resolutions are available on our ICAO public website. So please feel free to visit our website. You will be able to see this A3030 resolution. But for this meeting, I will be giving you more information related to this gender equality program, as well as the other issues that we agreed upon during A3930. Next slide, please. So this slide also continues on the deliberations during A3930. So there were things that were agreed upon for the states and international organizations, which is what I've shown you in the previous slide. This slide now is going to zoom in into the ICAO Secretariat. These are the things that the Secretary General was requested to do. So the first thing was that the Assembly requested the Secretary General, the ICAO Secretary General, to report annually to the ICAO Council on the measures implemented and the progress being made in promoting gender equality within all the levels of staff categories in the ICAO Secretariat. And as you can see, I am one of the outcomes of that. I'm a regional officer, female regional officer based here in Nairobi, and I'm not the only one, but I'll give you more information on that in the slides to come. Another thing that was also agreed was the instruction to the ICAO SG to establish what we call an ICAO Gender Equality Program. And this was in 2016, and the following year, we also didn't take a lot of time. The following year, in 2017, the ICAO Gender Equality Program established. And this Gender Equality Program facilitates and coordinates targeted programs and projects. But I will dwell more on this in the next slides. Next slide, please. So between 2017 and up to the last assembly in 2019, a lot of things were done. And during the 40th assembly, now in 2019, a paper was presented to the ICAO members, to the assembly by the Secretariat, and this is working paper 31. So working paper 31 actually outlined the progress within ICAO in terms of the gender equality program, as well as resolution A3930 on gender equality. So I'll give you more information on the developments now that we have given you the background of our priorities and what we have within ICAO when it comes to gender equality. Next slide, please. So we had a number of activities. So starting from, we go back a little bit, 2016, 2015, the SDGs were set. 2016, within ICAO, we now had our resolution A3930. 2017, we established the ICAO Gender Equality Program. And then in 2018, the first ever Global Aviation Gender Summit was hosted by the South African Civil Aviation Authority in Cape Town, South Africa. And this was an event that was co-organized by ICAO in close collaboration with the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. So I was privileged to be one of the attendees to this Global Gender Summit in 2018 during that time. And during this summit, we had quite a number of speakers that came in to discuss the issues, what can be done, what is the status quo when it comes to gender equality in aviation, what is it that can be done to improve this situation that we have. And that time, the then Secretary General, Ms. Feng Liu, who was also a woman, came all the way from Montreal to Cape Town to participate in this event. Next slide, please. And after this summit, the results and the outcomes of the summit were shared during the 40th Assembly. And within ICAO now, we have got quite a number of activities. So now from our presentation, this is how we are, what is it that ICAO is really doing? So we'll talk about activities that are there. And in terms of these activities, we'll address capacity building activities related to capacity building, activities related to partnerships and networks, as well as the opportunities that are there within ICAO for you to be able to utilize. So in terms of capacity building, the first activity that we had is internally within ICAO, based on our gender equity program. There are quite a number of things that happen within the Secretariat. For example, we have got what we call gender focal points that are appointed for all bureaus and regional offices. And then these gender focal points have got their alternates that are also appointed, and they are led by a champion. So it's really my pleasure to let you know that as the ESA regional office, we have got our own gender focal point has been appointed here, and the alternate, and our champion is our very own regional director, Mr. Berry Kashambo, who together with the deputy regional director are very much in support of ensuring that ICAO plays a role in achieving the things that were set in the ICAO Gender Equality Program. So the other thing that we also look at in ICAO is the NGAP, which is the Next Generation of Aviation Professionals Program. My colleague, Mr. Ayob, will be presenting on this tomorrow. So he'll give you the details and the statistics in terms of what has been happening, where we are, etc. But just in summary, this is an initiative that is designed to ensure that enough qualified, competent aviation professionals are available. So you're looking at the next generations. What is it that we can do now to ensure that in the next generations, we have got enough qualified and competent personnel? So it looks at identifying the long-term human resources needs, as well as establishing the strategies that can be employed to attract, educate, and retain the existing or new aviation professionals. Next slide, please. And this next slide also continues on the capacity building. And we have got collaboration on a sponsorship program that ICAO and the International Aviation Women's Association have. And the main goal of this is to provide development opportunities to qualified female aviation professionals from the different regions. So to ensure that there's geographic representation, and since we also have our motto that you probably most of you know about, no country left behind, we would want to ensure that all the regions are covered and catered for. Another capacity building activity that we have is the Young Aviation Professionals Program. And this is a collaboration between ICAO, IATA, and ACI. And it's a developmental program targeting also the next generation of aviation professionals. And then within the Secretariat, when it comes to internship opportunities, we try and by all means to attract young individuals in aviation. And when we look at these young individuals, we try by all means to ensure that there is focus on gender balance. So based on the statistics that we have within the Secretariat, between 2016 and 2018, when it came to intentional opportunities in the Secretariat, those that were recruited represented over 50% of them were women. So that is quite a good development that we have within the organization. Next slide, please. So this next slide is looking at the aviation gender and equality statistics. So besides this, all these activities that we are doing and all these initiatives that we have, we need the statistics to see how far we are going, how far we are, what do we need to change, what do we need to do differently, or what do we need to improve, or what do we need to continue doing that is working. So within ICAO, we have got the aviation gender and equality statistics, and a survey has been done on the number of licensed aviation personnel by gender, and this was done through a state letter that was sent to states. And there's also been consultation with other United Nations agencies, other UN bodies, for example, like the ILO, the International Labour Organization, on the collection of gender data. Next slide, please. So these previous slides have shown you the different activities that we have. Now we move on to the partnerships and networks, because we cannot do it alone. We need the collaboration of the states, the collaboration of other aviation entities and organizations. So when it comes to partnerships and networks, I would like to first talk about the participants in the, can you just go a slide backwards? I think there's a missing slide, the slide that just skipped. The previous slide, please. Okay, so when it comes to partnerships, the first partnership that I want to talk about is the ICAO and the UN Women. So when it comes to ICAO and the UN Women, we have the implementation of the UN system-wide action plan on gender equality and the empowerment of women. So since the UN Women is the lead in terms of gender equality and women rights, we also in partnership with the UN Women. And then we also have strengthened relationships with organizations that support gender equality in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. And these examples of these organizations are UNESCO, which I've mentioned earlier on, as well as the Women in Engineering organization. And then also, we also partner with the Women's Forum and the World Bank, which has got the focus mainly on gender mainstreaming. And then on this slide, our other partnerships that ICAO participates in is the Sustainable Mobility for All initiative. And this is quite a unique platform. And ICAO in this platform, we are present on the gender working group. That's where we participate. And then we also have got some MOUs, some memorandum of understandings that exist between ICAO and the International Aviation Women's Association. But I've spoken about this in one of the slides that we started on. So the next slide please. We'll look at the most recent activities within ICAO, most recent meaning 2021 this year, related to gender equality. So it's my pleasure to let you know that as the ICAO Council, our 36-member state representative council, on the occasion of the International Women's Day 2021, there was a new declaration that was agreed upon. And this declaration is called Declaration on Improving Gender Representation in the ICAO's Governing and Technical Bodies. So as you know, the council is responsible for quite a number of committees within ICAO, and some of you might be participants in these committees or task forces or work groups or panels. So the commitment now includes that all future ICAO Council committees or working groups or panels in other governance or technical bodies, as well as their chair groups, the chairman or chair lady of those groups, where applicable, and the council's own vice president court must be comprised of both women and men. So if you want more information on this, declaration is publicly available on our Uniting Aviation public website. And this Uniting Aviation public website is where we put news on whatever is happening on regarding our 5 strategic objectives within ICAO. Next slide, please. And in 2021 as well, we had the ICAO's 2021 International Women's Day high-level dialogue. And I believe most of you participated in this event, which was available on ICAO TV. It is still available for those that are interested in knowing what happened and seeing the different speeches and presentations from our from the people that presented. So the theme was based on the UN Women theme, Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. So in this dialogue, we were collaborating with IATA and the ACI, and we were celebrating the tremendous efforts that were done by some of our fellow women in the aviation sector. So we had quite a number of keynote speakers who shared their insights on the challenges and opportunities that COVID created for the women in the aviation sector, and also how sustainability of the aviation industry relies on greater progress towards gender equality and empowerment of women, and also on the importance of planning and prioritizing a more equal and equitable recovery. So if you go on ICAO TV, you'll be able to see some of the keynote speakers and the different issues that were discussed. Next slide, please. Lastly, on this slide, I would like to just highlight also one of the quite interesting initiatives that has been done by the ICAO Global Aviation Training Section. So most of you are quite familiar with GAT. GAT provides training, and due to COVID, you find that most of the training is now available online. So in order to commemorate International Women's Day in female empowerment in aviation, ICAO's GAT section is offering 50% discount for women enrolling in a selected number of ICAO online courses. So please feel free to visit the ICAO Guide website. You'll be able to see some of the courses that are available at a discounted rate. So this was done to just encourage women to participate in online training, as you will be provided with skills or reskilled. And then this will also help ensuring that women will have the opportunity to move to more technical and higher positions. And ultimately, the end result is that it contributes to enhanced gender equality in the workplace. So please do not hesitate to do it now. The deadline has been extended and is now up to the end of the year, 31st of December 2021. So on the next slide, we have got some of the courses that are included in the promotion. Next slide, please. For example, the training managers course, the managing compliance with the ICAO SARPs, international air law, for example. So there are quite a number of courses that are there. So please feel free to visit the ICAO Guide website for more information. This is the end of my presentation, and it was a pleasure presenting the ICAO priorities and accomplishments when it comes to gender equality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chinga, for sharing with us this very informative presentation on the various initiatives that ICAO is undertaking and its priorities in attaining gender diversity on areas such as outreach activities, capacity building, partnerships and networks, various events, as well as touching on the NGAP, which will be presented to us tomorrow in detail by your colleague. We have so far not received any questions from the floor, and we will be sharing your presentation with all the participants. And in case they wish to reach out to you, AFRAA shall notify you accordingly. We'll have the next session, which will be starting in the next 3 minutes. And that session is a presentation by IATA on the IATA Gender Diversity 25 by 2025 campaign. And to follow this next session, please go to the event platform on click on all sessions and select that presentation, and we shall be starting in the next couple of minutes. Thank you, and see you in the next session.